On the morning of January 5, 1996, a phone rang in a quiet house in Beit Lahia, a small city in the Gaza Strip. Yahya Ayeshe, also known as the engineer, picked up.
How are you, father?
In an instant, half his face was ripped from his body. The murder weapon? A cell phone rigged with explosives by Israel's most feared intelligence agency, Mossad. Yahya Ayeshe, or the engineer, was the man behind a string of unalive bombings that brought terror to Israel's streets. Born in the West Bank, Yahya Ayeshe was a prodigy. As a child, he had spent time fixing up old radios and TVs. Everyone around him saw his talent for engineering, but no one knew he would one day use it to build something far more deadly. After earning his electrical engineering degree, Yahya applied for a master's program in Jordan. But when his visa was denied, his life took a different turn. Instead of looking for alternatives to keep studying, he decided to join Hamas. And to Hamas, Yahya Ayeshe was a gift. He taught them how to make bombs from nothing. Not C4, not from hard-to-find military components, but from regular everyday household items. Detergent, acetone, sugar, the kind of stuff no security checkpoint could stop. And he would process them into an explosive so deadly that it was called the mother of Satan. And in just a few short years, Yahya Ayeshe became Hamas's deadliest assets. By the time the engineer turned 29, he was already responsible for the death of over 150 people. Mossad wanted to take him out, but that was not going to be easy. Israeli intelligence had spent years on his track, but he managed to slip through their fingers every single time. When the West Bank eventually got too dangerous for him, he was smuggled to Gaza, so Mossad followed. There was no way they were going to let him escape this time. Yahya knew he had to be careful, so whenever he wasn't in his friend Osama's house, he would dress up as a woman in a burqa, completely covering his face with a rifle hidden underneath his dress just in case. But as any intelligence officer knows all too well, comfort is the enemy of survival. And soon enough, Yahya became a little too comfortable. He started following a routine. He relaxed, and that's when Mossad found their way in. They discovered that Yahya was staying at his friend Osama Hamad's house. Now all they needed was a way in. That way in turned out to be Osama's uncle. Osama's uncle was just the kind of man Mossad needed for the job. A man with loyalty to just one thing: money. For the right price and US visas for his family, he gave Mossad exactly what they needed: one of his nephew's phones. He knew Yahya didn't own a phone himself, so whenever he needed to call his family in the West Bank, he borrowed one of Osama's. Maybe the uncle thought Mossad was just wiretapping his phone. Either way, he handed over the phone, took his reward, and disappeared. And then Mossad got to work. It's 6:30 a.m. in Beit Lahia, Gaza. The engineer finally allows himself to sleep, and next to him, lying on a small table, was Osama's Motorola phone. On the surface, nothing about the phone seemed suspicious. It looked normal, it felt normal. But in reality, Mossad had already gotten in there and worked their magic. Inside the phone, they had planted about 50 grams of RDX, a powerful explosive that they could detonate remotely. They had molded and hidden the explosive so well that not even the engineer, a man who lived and breathed bombs, noticed. With the murder weapon hiding in plain sight, all Mossad had to do was wait. At around 8 a.m., the phone finally rang. The engineer was awakened from his sleep by the sound, but his friend Osama got there before him. Quietly, he handed the engineer the phone.
It's your father.
And without a second thought, the engineer held the phone to his right ear.
How are you, father?
Those were his final words. The explosion is small and precise. It rips through the right side of the engineer's skull with surgical accuracy, killing him instantly. It was so accurate that his left side remains completely untouched, and Osama standing right next to him walks away without a scratch. As the sound of the explosion rang through the street, chaos followed. Neighbors ran over to the house to see what happened. People walking by on the street stopped in their tracks, but it's far too late to do anything about it. Inside Osama's house, Yahya's body lay lifeless on the floor, his right hand still gripping the phone that killed him. And if Mossad is capable of such precise assassinations like this, assassinations that don't harm any innocent bystanders, it makes you really question why they're doing this. So to see just how capable they are of not causing collateral damage, let's explore just how good Mossad is at targeted assassinations. Stay dangerous and let's get into it. Just like in covert ops, if you want success in your e-commerce business, you need one thing: efficiency. And that is where ShipStation comes in, today's sponsor. See, if you sell anything online, Etsy products, niche products, or even a full-blown e-commerce store, ShipStation gives you all the tools to run your shipping like you have an entire agency dedicated to it. No more juggling hundreds of tabs and spreadsheets, just one streamlined, simple dashboard that pulls in all your orders from Shopify, Amazon, Etsy, eBay, whatever you're using, so that it's all in one efficient place ready to go. From there, you can instantly compare and lock in the cheapest shipping rates, bulk print shipping labels, send branded tracking emails, and streamline returns all without breaking a sweat. That's why over 130,000 businesses, including Joe Rogan's brand Onnit, use ShipStation every single day. And with up to 88% off USPS, UPS, and DHL rates, plus up to 90% off FedEx, you're saving more than just time and effort. You're saving serious money. And the best part is that you can try ShipStation for free right now by going to shipstation.com/jtrend with the link below. That's shipstation.com/jtrend or click the first link below. It's 3 p.m. in the town of Upsard, Iran. This was as deep into enemy territory as Mossad could hope to get. And just like they engineered, they were here for one thing. Seemingly out of nowhere, a convoy of cars turned onto a quiet street. Inside one of the black sedans sits Iran's nuclear granddaddy, Iran's very own Oppenheimer, the guy behind their entire nuclear weapons program, and probably the guy with the biggest Mossad-shaped target on his back. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was his name, and he's been under Mossad surveillance for decades. But here's the thing about Mohsen. Unlike the engineer, he had an entire country to disappear in. He had the entire government's pocketbook at his disposal. He even had 12 bodyguards protecting him and his wife at all times. So getting to him would be a lot harder than just rigging his phone. Mossad had tried and failed to track him before. They had gone through dozens of plans to get rid of him. But Mohsen was always one step ahead. Obviously, they needed a new approach. They needed to think a lot bigger. And by late 2019, they have finally set their plan into motion. See, just like the engineer, Mohsen had fallen prey to routine. He had gotten into the habit of visiting one of his homes in Upsard every Friday. And that routine, him driving with his wife from Tehran to Upsard every Friday afternoon, made him vulnerable. It's 3:10 p.m. Mohsen's car continues moving down a long winding road through the dusty countryside of Upsard. Little does he know that he's about to drive into a trap that's been years in the making. See, Mossad knew that they couldn't just send any old hit squad after him. It was too risky, and there was too big of a chance that they would get caught. Bombs and airstrikes, on the other hand, weren't reliable enough. They could easily miss their targets. If they wanted to be successful, they would have to pull this off with 0 boots on the ground and 100% accuracy. So that's exactly what they did. Just a few hundred meters down the road from Mohsen's car, a truck was parked inconspicuously near the side of the road. On the surface, it looked totally normal, just like any other construction vehicle with a flat tire or an empty gas tank. But this was not just any old truck. It was planted there by Mossad. And it was their ticket to finally getting rid of Mohsen for good. In the back of the truck, completely camouflaged by construction material, was one of the most futuristic weapons Mossad had ever used. A 1-ton AI-controlled satellite-operated machine gun aimed directly at the oncoming cars. Mossad agents had assembled the gun piece by piece over almost a year. They had programmed the AI to recognize Mohsen and then fire at him with the precision of a sniper, while they watched from the safety of their home country. By the time Mohsen's car was driving down the road in Upsard, no Mossad agents were left in Iran. They were thousands of miles away watching the entire thing on screen. As the convoy got closer and closer, the mechanism controlling the gun suddenly powered on. This would be Mossad's one shot at taking out its most wanted enemy. And without any input from a human or any sort of authorization, the AI scanned the faces of the people in the approaching cars, and right at the moment Mohsen's car slowed down to go over a speed bump, that's when the gun opened fire. The first shot punctured the car's windshield and hit Mohsen in the chest. His wife sitting next to him didn't even realize what happened until seconds later. Immediately, Mohsen lost control of the car and swerved off the road. Within seconds, he was gone. And in less than 3 minutes after the attack began, the truck with the machine gun was also gone. As soon as it fired the last shot, the entire truck exploded, taking any trace of evidence with it. By 3:12 p.m., Mohsen's car was abandoned on the side of the road, blood covering the ground where he tried crawling out to safety. The granddaddy of Iran's nuclear program was dead, assassinated in broad daylight without a human even needing to pull the trigger. No fingerprints, no evidence, no trace of who exactly was responsible. It was as close to a perfect kill as anyone could imagine. It would take Iran months to even prove Mossad was behind it, and even longer to prove that a remote-controlled machine gun had done what no Israeli agent would have ever been able to do. It was yet another huge win for Mossad, But even though Mossad had a lot to celebrate, they were not done yet. These 2 assassinations were just valuable practice runs, leading up to their most daring operation yet. Xu Jingquang is an entrepreneur in Thailand that is hailed as the guy that brought back the humble electronic pager. His company Gold Apollo sold their pagers to governments around the world, from the Dutch to the FBI. But in 2021, he got approached with something different. A Taiwanese woman came to him, and she said that she knew a Teresa who worked for a Hungarian-based company called BAC Consulting, and that BAC Consulting wanted to buy his pagers. And so naturally, he started selling his pagers to this Hungarian company. But after a year, this Hungarian company came back to Gold Apollo with a strange request. They wanted to design their own pagers, but put his company's trademark on them. It was strange, but he agreed. And even their payments to him were strange. BAC was supposed to be a Hungarian company, but their payments for the pagers came from a bank in the Middle East. And for a while, Xu Jingquang just brushed it off, until September 11, 2024 came around. It was a peaceful morning in southern Lebanon. Some people were out shopping, some were standing in grocery store lines, some were sitting at home with their kids, some were on their way to work. Life seemed completely normal, until the first explosion. Seemingly at the exact same time, hundreds of pagers across Lebanon and Syria exploded. Not caught fire or malfunctioned, exploded. Like the engineer exploded. Within just a few minutes, 37 people were dead and over 3,000 people were injured. Panic set in for Hezbollah soldiers and civilians alike, but it wasn't over yet. Because the very next day, less than 24 hours later, Lebanon was rocked by explosions again. This time, it was 2-way radios or walkie-talkies. Unlike pagers, walkie-talkies had a lot more space for explosives, making the explosions even bigger and more deadly. Dozens of people were killed or injured, and no one could understand why. Back in Taiwan, police and reporters came rushing to question Gold Apollo's Xu Jingquang, being that his pagers were the ones used in the attack. And in that moment, it all made sense. He realized that those pagers used in the attack did have his company's name on it, but they were entirely different from his designs, and that they also had a completely different computer chip installed in them that his company didn't use, and that BAC Consulting was nothing more than a Mossad front company. As journalists dug in, they discovered that according to the company's most recent annual reports from the Hungarian Ministry of Justice, the company only had around $320 on their balance sheet. It was as clear as day what had happened. Mossad had created a fake front company years in advance. They sent an asset to Gold Apollo to strike a deal for their pagers. They most likely replaced one of the 2 batteries in the pager with an explosive device, and then they somehow sold these explosive pagers to Hezbollah, who was none the wiser. And then they waited. Even though they could have detonated them years ago anytime they wanted, they waited for the perfect opportunity. And after October 7th, that opportunity finally came. Just like waking up sleeper agents, the explosives in the pagers and walkie-talkies were detonated completely remotely. No group of assassins or elaborate operations, just the push of a button, killing dozens or injuring thousands of people in a matter of seconds. That's how far Mossad had come. From breaking an old-school cell phone with explosives, to building an AI-controlled machine gun, to taking out dozens of his targets with one little push of a button. So as you can see, Mossad has gotten pretty good at this art of assassination. They might have even gotten more sophisticated at it than what America is capable of. So we're left with the question that we opened this video with. If they're fully capable of taking out targets with surgical precision, with no civilian casualties, then can we really believe that this was necessary?